In this episode of Victory Woodworks with Vic, what we're going to do is going to create a Lazy Susan. We're going to be using maple and purple heart to add a little accent to the piece. We're going to use some traditional tools, power tools that is, and we're going to also use the CNC to actually do the cutout and addition of the actual Lazy Susan itself. So please stick with us and we'll show you how that gets done. For our Lazy Susan build, what we're going to use is maple, purple heart, and maple. You can see I kind of stood these up here just to give you an idea of what the cross section would look like. What we're really looking for are stripes. Obviously not this wide, they're only going to be about 3/4 of an inch or so wide, but the general idea, after we plane this will look a whole lot nicer, is something along those lines with 4-inch, 3-inch, and 4-inch pieces with two purple heart stripes on either side, and then ultimately we're going to cut out a round circle out of this to make the Lazy Susan itself. As always, before we start using any of our power tools, safety first. Our glasses and our ear protection. Now let's get cut. We have our pieces cut, so we have this larger one, which is going to be, looks like it's 13 by 13, but we'll have to cut it out a little bit. It's probably wound up being 12 by 12. This one I didn't want to get rid of the pieces, so we've got roughly, what's it, 9? This one will probably be a little 8 by 8 round Lazy Susan. I just transformed my table saw into a makeshift bench because I really just don't have that much room around here. I'm going to add in one of my favorite silicone mats here from Rockler. I'll link this down in the descriptions. This is actually a very excellent mat. Nothing really seems to stick or ruin this piece. Also from Rockler, what I'm using today, although not sponsored by Rockler, although I am open to sponsorship from Rockler, are these panel clamps. These are the smaller version. I think they go up to 16 inches. What we're going to do is we're going to take the larger of the two Lazy Susans and we're going to clamp them up in this. And then we're going to use some of the Bessie clamps for the other one, just to see what the difference is in the glue up and in the process. So stick with me while I go through the glues. We got one board clamped up, good squeeze out. We're gonna let it dry a little bit before we pull everything off. All right, let's go to number 2. Here's the second board. This is a smaller one. You know, kind of from a setup, I don't know if you can see here, we have these little blocks that the Bessie clamps sit on. It was a little bit easier, I think, than the Rockler clamps. I think they're both good, but I think this one's just a little bit easier to set up. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip these on edge, and I'm going to start gluing up. And I'm going to glue both sides because I seem to get a better bond that way. It was pretty effortless. Let's just do one over the top for twisting. We'll put one on other one also, just to make sure. Since nobody likes to watch glue dry, we'll come back when it is dry. See you in a little while. This is the next day. Our glue ups look pretty good. Let's unclamp these and get them ready for the planer next. Looks pretty good. I scraped off the glue when it was drying. So we're fairly flush. Take a couple passes through the planer. We should be okay. See what we got over here on this one. This one came out pretty good too. Again, got rid of most of the glue. I got some down here. And other than this slight ridge here, we're looking in good shape. Here's my my Delta 22/560 12.5 inch planer. And the way we've got it set up is we've got our vacuum hose going back to our jet vac over here. And I think the best view for you is going to be right here. Okay, I've got my safety glasses on, putting on my ear protection, and get ready to turn everything on. First, the joiner, the vac. I'm going to get planing. Keep saying joiner, it's a planer. Well, it seems this 13-inch board exceeded the 12.5 inch capacity of my jointer. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to give it a slight trim on the chop saw there. All right, that's much better. So now we've got, I don't know if you can see that, 12.5 and 12.5, and it looks like it will fit inside my jointer at this point. All right, so back with the ear protection, eye protection still on. Gonna turn everything on, and I'm gonna keep planing. All right, as you can see, the planing came out very nice. A nice smooth finish. We are going to be cutting through here, so we're not going to take to the sander yet. We can see which is the better side. I think it's this side, so maybe we'll put that on the bottom actually. And we'll cut out the circles here. Same with this one. Very smooth. All the glue squeeze out came out. And what we'll do is we'll just cut these out. Now this one we're going to have to trim just a little bit here because the max of these pieces is just over 9 1/8 it looks like. So we're going to cut these little bits off. And then we're going to make our way over to the CNC, cut out our little dishing pass on both of these, and then it's going to be sanding and finish work. 12.5, 12.5. This is also 12.5, but this is by 9, so we're going to put the 9-inch circle over here. Apologies for the heater. It is around 20 degrees outside and I'm freezing my buns off. This is going to be the small one. It's a very, very short agenda here. We're going to set up the job for our 9 1/16 by 12.5 inch board to cut out roughly a 9-inch-ish Lazy Susan. We're going to model those shapes in Carbide Create Pro. And then we're going to create the toolpaths also within Carbide Create Pro. We're going to view those in the simulation, make sure everything looks right. We're going to save out the G-code, and we're going to cut it out on our shapeoko 4 standard. Step 1, let's set up the job. The way we do that, we go in Carbide Create, upper left-hand corner, we click on the little gear icon, get our little job setup window pops up. Our width is going to be 12 inches. Our height is going to be 9 1/16, which is 9.0625. Thickness as measured with calipers is 1 inch, 0.06. The zero height is going to be on the top. We're going to use the lower left hand corner as our reference. It's hardwood, shapeoko 4, and retract height is 0.25 or 1/4 inch. Step 2, we need to model the shapes. Basically, we need 2 circles. So let's click on the first one here, and we're going to want that at, let's start at 8.75 because we want a little bit of an edge. Radius versus diameter. Let's make that. Let's not make that mistake. So it's going to be 4.35-ish inches, and let's center that onto the stock. Yeah, that's a little bit too big. So let's go with 4.25 and see how much we've got up top and bottom. Looks like we got a 1/4 inch. That'll be on the outside, so we'll be cutting there. We'll have to put our tabs in the corners on these sides, but that should be okay. Let's click on that. Now let's click on our shape and let's get our offset to the inside. We want at least a 1/4 inch lip up here so stuff doesn't fly off your Lazy Susan as you're whipping it around on the table. So we'll do that on the 0.25 on the inside. Hit apply. That looks good also. Now while we're thinking about it, let's put in those tabs somewhere around here, here, and here. Let's hit OK. That should hold our stock. We're also going to use the Trazon tape through the middle here just to make sure this thing stays in place, as well as obviously clamp hold downs and otherwise. I believe those are the only 2 shapes we need right now. Okay, step 3, create the toolpaths. So we've got our 2 shapes. Let's go to toolpath menu and let's start with the inside. Again, I like working from the inside outside. So here is the inside of our dish cutout. We're going to pocket that. Use the current selection. Our default dishing bit is the Amana dish bit, which is down here in the ball mills. So it's the Amana 45981 1/2 inch bit. We'll select that and we're going to do 2 passes. First pass is going to be the rough pass, which is going to be 1/4 inch, and depth per pass is 0.05. Actually, we'll raise that up to 0.1. Plunge is 10, and feed rate we can go at least 50, if not faster. Actually, yeah, we'll go with 50. We'll start there at 10,000 RPM. Hit OK, and we'll call this pocket rough. And we're going to go down only 1/4 inch. We don't need much of a lip there. We'll hit OK. Should take about 11 minutes. Now let's duplicate this pass, and we're going to call this the finish pass. Hit OK. And we're going to, again, it's the Amana 45981 1/2 inch bowl bit. Keep that the same. Selected vector stays the same. We're going to start now at 0.25. We're going to end at 0.25. And we're going to change the speeds. So here, step over, instead of being 0.25, is going to be 0.1. Depth per pass is 0.05, although I don't think it's going to matter here. Keep getting. Plunge rate is 10. Feed rate is going to be 25. We're going to really slow it down. We hit OK on that. So we're not really going any deeper. So that should be good. Pocket finish. OK. That one's going to take a while, I believe. Oh, it says empty toolpath. Probably because it doesn't believe we're cutting anything out. All right, let's give it 100th. All right, 18 minutes. So that's good to know. If you cut on top of the previous cut, application's good enough to know not that there's going to be nothing going to be cut. So therefore, give it a 1/100th more and you're good to go. So let's see what this looks like. Let's make that a wood. Kind of like what we expected. Not much there. Okay, let's hide the simulation. Now let's select the outside line. We're going to do there is we're going to do a contour path. Use that selection, and this bit we're going to use is going to be 1/4 inch down spiral Amana bit also, which is the end mill. It's going to be the Amana 46202K 1/4 inch spiral down cut bit. So we'll select that. Feeds and speeds look okay. We probably can go faster, but we'll just do that at the machine itself. Max step, we're going to use stock bottom, which is 1.06. We're going to do it on the outside so we don't make our board any smaller. So you can see there'll be a sliver top and bottom if we've measured everything right. Our tabs are going to be 0.1, 0.1, and we're going to call this the contour cutout. Let's take a look at that. That'll take 6 minutes, it's saying. So 11, 18, and 6. We got our tabs. Everything looks about right. Okay, the final step here is to save the G code and cut this thing out. So let's do that. Gonna have to reinitialize the machine. Okay, again, tool change. We're going to rapid position to current XY. All right, now we're going to probe it. Just see. Oh, wait. That was close. Got to connect the little magnet. Let's probe it again. Now we're going to go to run. Load up our file. We're going to view it just to make sure it looks good. We're going to start job. It should prompt us for a new bit, which is going to be the bowl bit. The bit I'm going to swap in, I don't know if you can see that right here, is the Amana 45981. Okay, going to hit resume on the laptop. We're going to touch it off, get the right height. Okay, prompting for 10,000 RPM and vacuum. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in really close and we'll get to cutting. Okay, here's the smaller one cut out, and I just finished cutting out the larger one right here. So let's take it out and let's trim up the edges here, take off some of the tape, and start the finishing process. Okay, what we're going to do is use this this hand router mounted in the little table with a little round over bit, and with that we're going to take off the edges here, here, and on the inside, and then we're going to go sand off the rest. You can see a little bit of a swirl in there, but you know what, you can't really feel it, which is interesting. So I guess it just goes with the grain. So I'm going to turn on the vac and the router, and we'll put in some fill-in music. As you can see, those edges came out very nice. Now let's go to the oh glorious sanding, as they say out there on the web, and get these two sides done. Alright, so we're going to be sanding inside here and on this side with our trusty Porter Cable 333. I can't tell you how long I've had this, maybe 20 years or more, and it still works. Something new though is these sanding discs or sanding nets. I believe these are from Diablo. I just picked these up on a whim in one of these packs at Home Depot for like 20 bucks. So I figured I'd give them a try. You know what? They actually work pretty well. So I'm going to put 120 on first, and we're going to start the sanding. Okay, this one I just sprayed down to raise the grain. This one is the unfinished. So you can see it's actually going to look pretty nice. Although I'm looking at this, I think these two might have been cherry and not maple. So we'll see. Looks like we're going to have a oddly colored board. But such is life. And finish off this piece, we're going to try this Rust-Oleum Painter's Touch Satin Clear. I did it on a test piece and it actually looked really nice. So we'll see how this works out. Here are the boards, or the Lazy Susans I should say, just about finished. So you can see the larger one here in the lower part of the screen. I'm using Rust-Oleum Clear Satin. Looks very nice. And in the upper kind of center left, I'm using the Watco Wipe On Poly just to see if there's a difference in the two finishes. They both look really good. They're both satin. And that's about it for this particular project. So hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you liked the video too. If you did, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends about our channel. And help us grow it. See you in the next video.